For Kevin Ollie and the UConn Huskies, the 2013-2014 campaign can best be described in one word: miraculous. Coming off a national championship season, the Huskies now look to pick right up where they left off. With some major contributors returning, plus the addition of some new talent, the sky's the limit for the 2014-2015 season. This is the UConn Men's Basketball Preview Show, and it's presented by Cadillac. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another season of UConn Hoops. Alongside Tariq Turner, Vin Parisi, I am Steve Gelbs. Boys, how you doing?
It's that time of the year again.
It is. Ready to go. A lot to get into in the next half hour. We're going to hear from Kevin Ollie, Ryan Boatwright, as well as UConn President Susan Herbst. It's all up ahead. But most importantly, we're going to hear from these two fine gentlemen sitting next to me. And guys, let's start with this. I'm not sure if anyone would have predicted last year at this time that we would be previewing the defending national champion, but that's just what we're doing. So how does winning a title impact this upcoming season for the Huskies?
Well, I think it's a game changer in a sense of, yes, they've done this recently with Jim Calhoun and Kemba Walker, but as you guys know, this was going to be a different brand of UConn basketball. And for Kevin Ollie to do it this early in the tenure, Tariq, the AAC, this is a different feel moving forward.
Well, you have to remember how Kevin Ollie got the job. There was some uncertainty as to whether he was ready, and he really proved himself last year, winning 20 games, carried it over to this last year, and won 32 games, got hot at the right time, and got great play out of his guards, and really instilled that leadership, and it carried over into the postseason.
Well, let's take a look back at that season from a year ago, the national championship season for the UConn Huskies. The number 7 seed in the tournament, number 7 seed, I should say, in the tournament, going on that incredible run, 32-8, like you said. Tariq, good conference record, really good defensively, holding opponents to 63 and change in terms of points per game. 8 players returning, only 2 of them starters, though, so it's going to be a different look to this UConn team. And recently, our Vin Parisi caught up with the head coach, Kevin Ollie.
Coach, first let's start off with, what was this offseason like? This must have been special in a lot of ways, yet you had to remain focused, I'm sure.
Oh, you definitely had to remain focused. We played, you know, in the first week of April, and the second week of April I was in the gym recruiting, so it wasn't a lot of time where you can go to Tahiti and sit on the beach and reminisce. We had to get in the recruiting mode early, but it really did mean a lot, being national champions, allowing our seniors to go out the way they was able to go out, being bookend champions, winning their freshman year and their senior year. I heard a stat the other day that no other NCAA player has ever done that, win their freshman year and win their senior year. So, you know, that's a very, very great honor to be able to coach those guys. And then they got their degrees at the end of the day. And just to see them in AT&T Stadium hugging and laughing and smiling with one another and spending time together, it made it all worthwhile. The things that we had to endure 18 months prior and all the doubters. And they kept being the believers, and that's a beautiful thing. When you believe in yourself, you believe in a university, you believe in your teammates, you can accomplish great things.
From a big man perspective, what about Brima? What about Phil Nolan? Yeah. What do you expect up front out of these guys?
And I got to expect a whole lot. We got 4 of them. So we got 4 bigs, but they all bring different things to the table. Of course, Amita brings his shot blocking ability. A lot of people didn't see his offensive ability last year, but you definitely see it this year where we're throwing the ball, and he's being a front court presence for us. Phil Nolan has gained 20 pounds, looks like a totally different person. He's able to bang down there a little bit more, always going to have that soft touch, and he was remarkable on the defensive end for us. A lot of people that just looks at the game, look at the three-pointers, but they don't look at the intricacies of different defensive flows that you have to have, defensive rotations that you have to have. And he did that great for us, and I think he's going to be a great guy for us. Kenton Facey, that didn't get a big-time opportunity last year, is going to be right there to have all the opportunity possible. And I think he's going to do an excellent job for us. And I'm just looking forward to our front court. A lot of people saying we don't have a lot down there, but I think we have a lot, and we're going to show it throughout the season.
And lastly, Coach, I think the ultimate respect level for you guys this year will be in the non-conference scheduling department. Other coaches have taken notice for it. What was your philosophy with that?
My philosophy is we want to be the best, so we're going to play the best. You have to get out there and play the tough schedule, which is fine for me. I love to have that barometer where we know where we are as a team, where we have to get better at, and we continue to learn and continue to grow, and I'm ready for the challenge.
UConn head coach Kevin Ollie, and a lot of that conversation was focused on the front court. And, you know, last year's championship team, so much of it was guard-oriented. But, Tariq, how crucial will the front court play be to the success of this year's team?
Well, it's the same as last year. Last year, they were a guard-oriented team that really focused on the perimeter guards and initiating the offense. Same thing this year. Their front court is going to have to do a better job of rebounding the ball. Bryma only averaged about 3 rebounds, and then Facey didn't play a lot. So those guys have to be more physical. They have to rim run, which is what Coach Ali talks about in practice. Get down the court and post in 6 seconds or less and play fast, but also be physical and give them some points in the paint. They have to have that balance. They can't just depend on their guards to carry the load.
And not just Amita Bryma. I think when you look at the rest of the front court situation for Kevin Ollie, yes, they will be perimeter oriented, but Phil Nolan, along with that Kenton Facey maybe position, but Nolan's going to be the guy, I think, that could really step up and make that next jump this season. Kevin Ollie's been saying since media day, he really had a terrific offseason, getting himself stronger, and he's putting the time in. Both Nolan and Bryma, when you have your head coach saying, hey, I have to kick these guys out of the gym, that's a good sign early.
Absolutely, and Bryma is their hardest worker, and Nolan's a guy who put on the muscle. He's more confident with using his body down low. He has to play the 4 and the 5, and they have to balance each other and stay on the court. The one thing about Bryma is he cannot get in foul trouble. He has some problems early on. Because he plays so hard, sometimes he picks up a couple cheap fouls.
Well, Tariq mentioned Amita Bryma, the hardest worker on the team, a sophomore named a co-captain for this upcoming season. That says a lot. Plenty more to do here on the UConn Men's Basketball Preview Show. Coming up, last season was a roller coaster of emotions for UConn guard Ryan Boatwright. Our Gareth Burke will have his story when we return. And what impact will these new faces make on the UConn backcourt? We'll look at life after Shabazz Napier when we return. Back here on our UConn Men's Basketball Preview Show, and no doubt about it, with Shabazz Napier gone, this is now Ryan Boatwright's team to lead. Offensively, the senior's averaged double-figure scoring in all 3 seasons he's been with the Huskies so far. Defensively, he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the country. For more on number 11, here's our Gareth Burke.
5 seconds to go. Boatwright's into the front court. This Texas two-step is a big dance that will last forever. UConn is the national champions.
April 7th, 2014, the UConn men's basketball team captures its 4th national championship. For Ryan Boatwright, the moment meant more than a title.
My brother was murdered last year in January. It meant a lot, man. I had a rough year last year on and off the floor. We started off 9-0. Everybody was thinking we could do it, and then we hit a wall, and the whole world lost faith in us. But we knew from the beginning that we could win and turn around how it did. It was just amazing. So, I just took one knee and thanked him.
7 months removed from that emotional night in Arlington, Boatwright and the Huskies were named the American Athletic Conference's #1 team in the preseason coaches poll. Boatwright was named the conference's preseason player of the year. But over the summer, when head coach Kevin Ollie was getting interest from NBA teams, Boatwright contemplated leaving too.
I was thinking about leaving to go to the pros, and I just asked him, flat out asked him, if I come back, are you going to be here? I don't want to come back and play for nobody else. And he looked me in my eye and told me he was going to be here, and that sealed the deal for me. I believe him. He gives you all the confidence in the world. So I won't play for no other coach.
Despite having Boatwright and Ollie back at UConn, the road to another title will be a tough one for the Huskies without a major piece of last season's offense, Shabazz Napier, Boatwright's backcourt partner.
He's a great teammate, great person, and on the court he was fearless. And I think that's what made us the best backcourt in the country. We both little, but we both got a lot of heart, and we don't fear nobody.
Napier was the Huskies' leading scorer and assist man last season, so Boatwright, this season's only starting senior, knows he's the one who must push the backcourt forward.
We just got to play together and have each other back. And you know, it can't be no animosity or no jealousy between none of us. I think that's a huge step when you get a lot of media attention and stuff like that. I think it's huge between the backcourt.
Boatwright is a co-captain for the upcoming year, and the Aurora, Illinois native brings an average of more than a dozen career points per game back to Gampel Pavilion, along with his drive, commitments, and leadership. He also knows he's only one piece to another title run.
It's going to take everybody. One person didn't win that championship last year. It took everybody to win that championship, and I try to instill that into the teams. You know, we're going to go through some ups and downs as a team, but as long as we stay together and believe in each other, we'll be all right.
It's already been a roller coaster ride for Boatwright at UConn. He's seen the program go from ineligible for postseason play to a national championship. For the senior, there's only one way for this ride to end.
National championship, getting back to the Final Four. Anything else I would look at as a failure.
A lot of good stuff there in that piece. And one of the most interesting things, guys, is what Boatwright had to say about his relationship with Kevin Ollie and how if Ollie wasn't there, he didn't want to be there either. How special a relationship is it, Tariq?
It's like a brotherhood. I mean, Kevin Ollie is like a big brother to Boatwright and all the players, but especially Boatwright, because that point guard bond, that understanding of what it's like to run a team and be a leader, Kevin Ollie's paved the way as a player and as a coach, and he's been able to pass that on to Boatwright. One interesting thing, I went to the practice to watch them play a couple weeks ago, and he literally lets Boatwright run certain segments of the practice. He empowers Boatwright. He wants him to lead. He says, look, I don't want to tell the guys where to go. You do it. You tell the guys how to run this drill, how to run this offense, and that's an example of the trust he has in the senior guard.
And he's going to have to be important, especially as we've talked about a couple times already, without Shabazz Napier there this season in the backcourt. So how important is Ryan Boatwright to the success of this team?
Oh, it's simply one of the top keys to the season for Kevin Ollie's program. Let's not forget that the reason UConn is the preseason #1 is because the coaches felt that Boatwright's the top returning player in the entire league. So if the Huskies are going to make noise come March, he's going to have to take the reins from Shabazz Napier the way Shabazz Napier took the reins from Kemba Walker.
And Boatwright is really the lone returning face in that backcourt. It's going to look totally different.
Yep.
That being said, doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be worse. So, Tariq, how good can this backcourt eventually be?
It could be explosive. I mean, they add a couple pieces that they didn't have last year, and Napier obviously being gone, you need to find out who's going to make up that scoring. Well, this freshman right here, Daniel Hamilton, you're going to hear a lot about him. One of the most talented freshmen in the country, a 6'7" guard forward, moves well without the ball, great motor, can shoot off the catch and off the bounce, has the chance to be the next great wing guard in UConn history. You think about a Rudy Gay, a Rip Hamilton, even a Ray Allen, he could be that good.
And when it comes to contributors, folks, Sam Cassell Jr., if you're a Husky fan, is somebody you're going to be hearing a lot of. He's the top perimeter threat so far after the 2 exhibition games. He shot it terrific in the preseason for Kevin Ollie. And what I love about this guy is Kevin Ollie's already telling the press up in Connecticut, hey, who says this guy has to come off the bench? The way he's playing, he might earn a starting role.
And then what about this guy, too, Rodney Purvis? Speaking of Kevin Ollie, he called him his Ferrari sitting in the garage last year, and now he's ready to drive it.
Well, there's what you need to know. When he originally went to NC State, he was a McDonald's All-American. Now, I think it's going to take some time to get the rust off. Kevin Ollie's talked about wanting to get him out in transition more, but that experience could be a factor for them.
He's got a pro body. He's 6'4". He's explosive. His strength is getting to the rim. He has to be more consistent as a jump shooter, but certainly a big piece of what Kevin Ollie's trying to do in that backcourt.
And then there's always the question mark of Omar Calhoun. Can he contribute like he did his freshman year? It's all to be seen, but certainly some potential in the backcourt for UConn. When we come back on the UConn Men's Preview Show, it's been a great 2 seasons for Kevin Ollie. So what can we expect in year 3? We will look into that when we come back. Well, I would say the Kevin Ollie tenure so far, it's been a decent success. Year 1, 20 wins. Year 2, national title. not too shabby, especially considering the considerable shadow his predecessor cast. UConn President Susan Herbst has been impressed.
He has tremendous integrity. He's a lovely person. He cares so deeply about the students, about their self-esteem, about their academic performance, and of course their level of play. And we had a lot of talent on that team. There's no question. We had some great players, but Kevin is the center, and he wills them to win. Kevin is an inspiration. I have to say, he is like a ray of sunshine all the time. You know, when you see him in interviews after a game, you can feel that. But sometimes when I'm in a bad mood, you know, I text Kevin Ollie because I know what's going to come back is going to make me have a better day and inspire me the way he inspires the players.
Guys, only in year 3, but so much success already. So what are the expectations now for Coach Kevin Ollie?
You know, when it comes to Kevin Ollie, I think it's more about how he's raised the bar for himself rather than the expectations. I don't think he has anything left to prove in terms of basketball coaching. I just think now he's made this one of those programs to where, like a Rick Pitino at Louisville, like a John Calipari at Kentucky, like Coach K at Duke, if UConn doesn't have a stellar run in March, there's going to be unhappy fans. He's made this elite again.
Well, I think he's a top 5 coach in the country, and I think his ability to create chemistry and confidence in his team is the two things that really separate him from other good coaches. Anyone can do X's and O's, but he has the ability to get the most out of his players. I look at him as a guy that can get his team back definitely into the tournament. It wouldn't surprise me if they make it to the Sweet 16, and I think they win their league.
You're going to get to see Kevin Ollie coach a very decent amount here on SNY coming up. It starts on Friday with the opener against Bryant. Then in December, game against Yale on December 5th, December 14th, Coppin State, Columbia on the 22nd, and Central Connecticut State on December 28th. With a preview of what we should expect to see in these games, here's our own coach, Tim Welsh.
Thanks, Steve. UConn needs to establish an identity in the pre-conference schedule. Everyone knows Duke, Texas, Stanford, Florida lies ahead before they get to the American Conference schedule. But these other games are very important for Kevin Ollie in trying to find not only identity of who they are, but who's going to take the big shots, and it will start on November 14th against Bryant. What will they do to replace who was the best player in all of college basketball in Shabazz Napier? Well, I don't think they can do it with one particular player. Ryan Boatwright certainly will get the ball. He'll get the call. He's the senior for them. He'll be the leader for them, not only on the floor, but off the floor. Viewing practice, he's been more vocal for Kevin Ollie's ball club. He has to do that. At the end of last year, he was the best on-ball defender of all of college basketball. He needs to continue with that. Rodney Purvis will be his backcourt mate. How well will they gel? Purvis likes to score. He likes to get to the rim. He's going to also have to stretch out the floor a little bit and knock down a couple perimeter jump shots. Amita Brima in the middle. Physical presence as a defender and a shot blocker. He's got to become a better rebounder and a guy they can throw the ball to at the end of the clock, get to the free throw line, and be physical around the rim. Kenton Facey, a much improved sophomore, put on some weight in the offseason. We'll get the early look at the power forward spot. He's an important piece for UConn as well because he really runs the floor. He can get out in transition and is a tough guard at that 4 spot. Daniel Hamilton at the 3 spot, a highly regarded freshman, a very important player for Connecticut because not only of his talent ability and his ability to score, but he's going to have to get out and defend a la Niels Gaffey did a year ago, take on that best wing player the opponent will put on the floor. And also Hamilton is a knockdown three-point shooter, which is so important because UConn did a great job on the three-point line a year ago. Now, collectively, I think this team has a lot of talent, but can they put it together individually and blend into one? Who's going to have that confidence and ability to ooze confidence with their teammates out on the floor at the end of the clock? And we do think it's going to be Ryan Boatwright, along with a guy like a Sam Cassell, who's shown a lot in the preseason practices. Confidence, he'll come in off the bench. He's a scorer, a lot like his dad. We saw his dad when he played in the NBA. He can play both guard positions. Very, very important for Connecticut as well. Thanks, and back to the studio.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Coming up with Shabazz Napier now in the pros, what are the biggest keys to another long NCAA tournament run for the Huskies? Our guys give us their keys when we return. wrap this puppy up now, take a look at the keys to the upcoming season. Vin, let's start out with you.
I think when you look at the Huskies this year, Kevin Ollie, they have to meet those early challenges. He scheduled elite, Texas, Duke, Florida. That will tell us a lot about this team. Another one is another season of elite defense. They made it to the Final Four by barely scoring 60 points per game. That's what Kevin Ollie preaches. And finally, Boatwright backs it up. As we saw last year with Napier, a couple of years ago with Kemba Walker, your top guy has to come through come March.
Tariq?
And we're on the same page with Boatwright. It starts with him, the senior leadership, the guard spot. He has to control the tempo and be the guy that really runs the team, closes it out when they need a big basket. And then also the perimeter scoring. They're a guard-oriented team. They have 4 or 5 guys that can score the ball. They have to get it from a multitude of guys. And then their front court production is huge. They have to get points in the paint, and they have to rebound, Bryma and Nolan especially.
Boys, it's been fun. That's going to do it for the UConn men's basketball preview show. Not too long before it gets going for real. Friday night against Bryant, 7 p.m. tip. Our coverage gets underway with pregame at 6:30. For Tariq Turner, Vin Parisi, I'm Steve Gelbs. Thanks for watching.